Just 4. This was sort of a late add back to this car. Chase, of course, has been in this car once already this year, finished second at Darlington. But it was supposed to just be Corey Day to finish out the remaining handful of races in this car, and Chase wanted to jump back in it and give it a go, so here he is in the 17.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming that Chase chose here because he's really good here.
Yes.
He's been great in the Xfinity Series. Hasn't finished worse than third in his 2 Xfinity starts here. He obviously had that Cup win a few years ago, so it's been a great track for him. Ran second at Darlington earlier this year in the 17 car, and Dylan, much like Justin Allgaier, who we just referred to, every time the 17 car is on the track, it is a threat to win as well. He'll be the guy that can, I think, will give Justin the biggest fit today.
Well, for more on Chase Elliott, let's say good morning to our pit reporter today, Carla Metz. Good morning, Carla.
Yeah, good morning, Dylan. And of course, you were talking about the success that Chase Elliott has had here in Pocono with that Cup Series win in 2022. Of course, had some wins in ARCA, but he has 2 top 3s and 3 Xfinity Series starts at Pocono. And I think it's just that success that he's had here that makes sense for him to return to the 17 car this season. Of course, he said he wants to add to the success that the 17 has already had with those 2 wins from William Byron at Charlotte and, of course, Kyle Larson earlier in the season. But again, we hear a lot about the drivers either loving or hating Pocono, and it seems Elliott's on the side of loving it.
I was in the hauler yesterday and speaking with crew chief Adam Wall and Greg Ives, who was the crew chief for this car last year, but kind of in a more of an advisory role this year. And the one thing he noted that's going to be an advantage for Chase for tomorrow in the Cup car is just the bump in the tunnel turn in turn 2. We were watching Truck Series practice yesterday. It looks like it's gotten way bumpier over there in that part of the racetrack. So Greg said just for Chase to kind of get some laps and experience on that part of the racetrack is going to be beneficial.
Yeah, one thing's for sure, the bumps never get better. They never get smoother. The tunnel turn, gosh, it's so fast, and you can see it's almost like a washboard effect. You see the track kind of up and down where the splitters, the chassis have drug. It's kind of, dug a groove into that. You want to get as close to that yellow line as you can. You see you even can get inside of that. You just don't want to let the car behind you be any lower than you and get any fresh air on the nose. The tunnel turn, though, I mean, it's one of the most challenging turns I think in the entire NASCAR schedule.
Talk a lot about playoffs as we have the last couple of weeks in that cutoff line. Oh, we were on one Sieg, and here's another Sieg. This is Kyle Sieg, and he's not going to be able to see very well with that hood up on the, the nose of the car.
Somebody's looking at that and knowing that they didn't put the hood pins in, Dylan, and they're like, well, I wish I could go back about 10 minutes in time. Not good.
No caution, and he's on the kind of the warm-up lane there, the apron of the racetrack at the exit of turn 3. So
I've had that happen before, and you look out the hole on the right, like where the cowl flap is, because that's the only way you can see, and it's a little bit of a panic when it initially happens because you've lost your vision. But once you get slowed down, you use your spotter a little bit, and then he's probably kind of cheating a little bit out of that roof flap hole.
I cannot imagine the fear of, as fast as this place is, I mean, no matter where you're at on the racetrack here, if that comes up and you all of a sudden can't see, that has to be quite unnerving for Kyle Sieg. See, look at how it's already coming up at the exit of turn 2 here. Wow,
and it looks like it actually got high enough initially.
Yeah, you can see.
You can see.
Yeah, it about blew over the top.
Yeah, and then that's obviously I think that's got to be on his out lap. He's only posted. Well, no, he actually ran a whole lap at 59 seconds there. So, yeah, that's a scary moment for anybody.
Did a good job there to keep the car going the right direction and not make that issue worse for the 28. Jamie, you talk about Allgaier and just the success he's had this year. This has been a career year for him, and in just about every statistical category through this point of the year. He's won 3 times. He's led almost 650 laps. He's been in the top 5 almost 2,000 laps. That's a 6.4 average running position. A lot of numbers there, right? But that just goes to show you how strong the 7 car has been week in and week out.
Yeah, the most important number for today is that he's P1 right now.
Right.
Obviously picked up, you see right here getting that win at Las Vegas. And you know the thing about the 7 car, and I talked to them, Jim Pullman and Justin, about this yesterday. This is his win at Miami. is how many wins they could have. And they've been so close to winning multiple other races this year. See right here, the most recent at Nashville a few weeks ago. And he's just good at every type of racetrack. You know, they're just so fast. They've unloaded here. First lap on the racetrack, 2/10 quicker than Chase Elliott. You know, 7-car showing again this weekend. He's going to be the guy to beat. We were standing there yesterday talking to him, and he was telling us about the first time he was here and the advice Ken Schrader had for him on how to get through the tunnel turn. Not good. Which is not great advice from Kenny, but it worked for him that day, I guess. Yeah, and it, just so you know, as you're listening, the advice was just hold it wide open through the tunnel turn, which is unheard of now. But back in the day when Justin was talking about the rules they had and the speed, they were able to, he said he picked up 3 seconds over the course of talking with Schrader, so maybe we should have all learned at the beginning. Here's another driver that needs a good couple of weeks here. Nick Sanchez in the Big Machine Racing number 14. You see they're outside of the playoffs right now by 15 points. And Mexico last week was not what they needed. Finished 31st and has them now 15 points outside of the playoffs. This is another car that just... They've been fast. It seems like every weekend. We're always at some point talking about Nick Sanchez. But as a young rookie, being fast is one thing, but putting the whole race together and getting the finish that goes along with it is sometimes another thing. Yeah, and I think Texas is probably the best example of that. The 48 car was in contention to win that. Overstepped to the limits of turn 2, wrecked, didn't get, ended up finishing 20th in that race. And instead of maybe just taking that top 5, but they followed that up at Charlotte the following week, finishing in the top 3, and you said it right there. I mean, 48 car, fast almost every single week we go to. He's a rookie, so there's going to be some mistakes made, but I think when you get to this point in the year, those mistakes have to become fewer and fewer as you get used to working with your team. So Sanchez has done a great job, though. Off and rolling in the Poconos, beautiful part of the country. It's the honeymoon capital of the world. We've got NASCAR Xfinity. Pocono here on the CW NASCAR Xfinity Series practice. About halfway through group number 1. We see Jeremy Clements on the racetrack. A little bit of sad news for them this weekend. See First Pacific funding on Jeremy's car quite a bit throughout the year, and Jeff O'Day, who's the owner of First Pacific funding, sadly passed away earlier this week. So this team racing with some heavy hearts, but Jeremy certainly always one you got to keep an eye on here at Pocono, but racing for a good cause this weekend. Yeah, great looking car he's got this weekend. Those chrome numbers.
I do like that car.
I kind of thought it looked Ryan Blaney-ish.
He had that car at Mexico too. The Alliance colors is, I think, why the neon is there. It was all neon, and he had the suit to match. I mean, you could have been out there directing traffic. You couldn't miss it.
Directing traffic.
Back to Allgaier here. He's fastest right now over Chase Elliott and Ryan Sieg, the current top 3.
Yeah.
Here's some radio.
Best T.
What's he running lap time wise right now?
He running 64, you running 74.
Yeah, he enters lower, he rips the bottom lower, in turn 3, he rips the bottom lower, he just runs a whole lower line, and that's where most of the time is at, it looks like.
Yeah, I got to assume that they're referencing against Chase Elliott. That's the only other car that's well, actually Sanchez has as well run more than 10 laps. But Allgaier's pace looks right on par. I mean, they were referencing some lap times there, but as I look at the most recent time, I think Justin might be a little bit better. So he's obviously adjusted to what he needs. And the tires go through a transition of about 0.8 of a second fall off through the first 10 laps. But then over the next 10 up to lap 20, there's not much more fall off. So not a huge fall off, amount here, but we did see last year the tires made a pretty big difference, and historically we get some longer runs at this racetrack, so you want to be good on a long run.
In turn 3, which is kind of the area they were talking about, what's the self-medicating that you can do with the race car moving up versus running right around the yellow line of the rumble strips? What changes when you move up or down? Well,
the story from yesterday in the trucks was that they put that treatment down on the track years ago here to try to create too wide, and they haven't done it for a few years, but it's still there, and guys are trying to work that in. And it seemed like in the truck race we heard some guys saying that there was some grip up there, but right now the pace still seems to be the fastest, the lowest you can get on the racetrack. And listening to what they were saying, it just seemed like Chase, obviously entering lower, middle lower, and exit lower is good if you've got the grip to do that. Normally you have to enter a little bit wider to have that lower exit, but the 17 car is good. It looks to me like as they run along here, they're just kind of neck and neck with their lap times. I think the 7 is just fine. He's just not significantly better like we've seen in some of the other races this year.
Look at Brendan Poole in the 44, 6th right now in group number 1. Double duty for him this weekend. He'll be in the Cup car for New York Racing later on this afternoon and tomorrow for the race. ARCA winner here at Pocono back in 2012 for Brendan.
Got to be quite an experienced Cup car around here, knowing how different they are. But that's fun to get to have all that experience. And Brennan's his girlfriend or wife is from up around this area, I think New Jersey. So maybe feels like a little bit like a homecoming for them.
Seen Anthony Alfredo out on the racetrack for a little bit. There he is. Good looking race car for Anthony in the 42. Currently 5th right now, Carla.
Yeah, Anthony Alfredo, a driver for the 42 for Young's Motorsports. He's also a full-time sim driver for Hendrick Motorsports. But just this week, he and his wife announced he has a new pending job title. Anthony Alfredo going to be a dad. This is the announcement that they made earlier this week. He said, man, we really lucked out. Great timing with the baby expected in the offseason. Said he's super excited not to have to worry about the travel schedule and adjusting to being parents during the season. He told me they do already know if it's a boy or a girl, but they have not shared that information yet, guys.
Well, Carla, I want to challenge Anthony and his wife to doing that same photo maybe 6 weeks after that baby's born and seeing if those smiles are still as big as they are there. It's the greatest gift in life to get to have a child, but it'll tax a marriage for sure.
Yeah, congratulations to both of them for sure, Anthony and wife Emily. Under 10 minutes in practice for Group 1 in the Xfinity Series. Everybody chasing the 7 car again this weekend. Back with you on the CW for NASCAR Xfinity Series practice from the Pocono Raceway. About 6 minutes to go here in group number 1. Josh Bilicki back in the DGM Racing at number 91 this weekend. 10th start of the year for him. Finished 24th last week at Mexico.
Yeah, every time I see these guys that don't get to race every single weekend, I just think about the challenge. You know, when you don't do it every weekend and you're racing against guys that are, it's so hard to jump in and out of cars and get any consistency build up. I always feel bad for them, you know, just knowing how hard it is when you do it every week and when you don't get to do it every week. It's just such a big challenge.
Well, these guys have, on the DGM Racing team, have had some fun this weekend. Ryan Ellis, who is his teammate full-time in the 71. This was last night, so they're in an Airbnb this weekend, and Josh had an unexpected visitor a couple times. There was a couple follow-up tweets to this that I think Josh eventually locked his door to prevent this kind of thing from happening.
Why do you think he has his flashlight on?
It must have been dark.
It must have been.
Trying to see who's breaking into his room.
Yeah.
That's fun. Life on the road, you gotta find ways to have fun and keep it loose sometimes. So those guys are having a good time.
Think they have a heart-shaped tub?
They might. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
Good.
Here's Chris Wright, currently 15th in group number 1, and the Hour Motorsports number 5. 17th place finish for him last week at Mexico. That Mario Andretti throwback, the John Players car, back to his more traditional look this weekend.
That car was cool looking last weekend.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
when
I saw that, I didn't realize what that throwback was too, but now that you say that, yeah, it makes sense. It looked really good last weekend.
Yeah, Chris said he just
Hola, señorita, ¿se quiere ganar 100 pesitos?
And just wanted to run it. So, really cool car. Everybody chasing Allgaier and Chase Elliott, who have not stopped. They have, Allgaier, I believe, now has come into the pits, but Chase Elliott on basically just a 20-lap run here and getting a good feel for what he's got behind the wheel of his race car on the long run. Here's Garrett Smithley, another one back in the 14 car. Had a couple different guys in that car the last few weeks, but Garrett spoke to him yesterday, excited to be back behind the wheel this SS Greenlight car this weekend for his 11th start of the year. Garrett down in 14th right now in the 14 car. Another one who been out there for a handful of laps here, working his 9th lap around the racetrack here as we approach the final minutes in group number 1.
9 laps doesn't sound like a lot, but when it takes a minute,
a long time.
it's a long lap around here. Yeah, it's like Chase Elliott has run 21 laps now. That's a lot of laps around this place. I think it's good though to, if your balance is good, to stay out, kind of know where that fall off's going to go. Chase is he's fallen off actually less than a second, which I think is exceptional. It'd be fun to see kind of what happens in this next practice. But you mentioned Sieg, you know, man, I don't want to say disappointed in the 39 this year, but based on what we've seen especially over last year and kind of where they were at, I thought that he would be to victory lane by now. It's been decent, but not quite as good as what I think what they hope for and the expectations of that 39 team this year.
They've had a couple races where they've had some odd or kind of, don't want to call them silly things that have gone wrong, that have derailed their day, but just kind of some tough racing luck that has put them in a position where they need to start to turn it around. Finished 29th last week, and that has them right on the playoff bubble. So to your point, Jamie, yeah, I think they expected to be better. They were better than this last year, and the car has speed. It's just kind of another one of those stories of just trying to finish the whole race and get a good result. He does have a good long run car here, second on the 5-lap average, as you see there at the bottom of the screen. Yeah,
it's great. I mean, the 17, it's interesting to see him third on that, because he's really good at the end of a run. But yeah, that's good for the 39. It shows the speed that they have, obviously on the outlap, to be third and to be in the position they are. They seem a little bit off when you get around that 15 to 17 lap mark, but I'm going to say that guy right there, pretty happy with his car. It's been a good start to the day for the 17.
William Byron was in that car last year in this race, and they ran pretty well as well in that 17 car. Here's Blaine Perkins, 31 machine for Jordan Anderson Racing. This place has been a tough one for him. A couple DNFs in his 3 career starts, so trying to turn that around. Another one who I think has taken a good step forward this year just in general. We've seen Blaine inside the top 20 the last few weeks and done a nice job in that race car this year. All of Jordan Anderson Racing has. They've stepped up their program this year.
Yeah, 7th place finish at Talladega, you mentioned. Great result for him and that whole organization. I think it's been pretty impressive to see the step that Blaine has taken this year, what he's been able to do. And you said tough track for him. This is a tough track for a lot of
anybody.
people. It's a hard racetrack, and there's, man, the few guys that figure it out, they just run well every time. But I think in general, most guys will tell you that this is one of the more challenging tracks on the schedule.
Final minute in group number 1. Here's Ryan Ellis. Spoke about him just a little bit ago. He's 10th right now in group number 1. He was probably just glad to get through Mexico City and be back here to Pocono after a tough week of travel. He lost his bags on the airlines and
didn't start well.
Did not go great at the start of the weekend for Mr. Ellis, but able to salvage a decent weekend out of it, and just probably happy to get out of there and back here to Pocono.
Yeah, that car looked a little twitchy over the bumps. We've seen some of them ride the bumps well. The 71 right there. Normally guys get tight off the exit of the tunnel. Looked like that car snapped on him though. Maybe a kind of a tight, loose condition, but a little work to do on the 71.
Red and black flags waving at the end of group number 1. Justin Allgaier fastest, driving for that man, Dale Earnhardt Jr., who is in a new role this weekend. We'll tell you about that as Group 2 rolls next. Group 1 of practice wrapped up from Pocono. Here's a look at the leaderboard. Justin Allgaier, Chase Elliott, the class of the field so far, with Ryan Sieg, Nick Sanchez, and Anthony Alfredo in the top 5. We told you about Dale Earnhardt Jr. going to break. Of course, the car owner of 4 cars in the Xfinity Series field. But this weekend, he is, you see it there, crew chief for Connor Zilisch. The first time that Junior is in this role. Marty Lindley, the normal crew chief for the 88, serving a suspension for a lug nut penalty that was assessed after Nashville. So Junior got the call from Marty himself and said, hey, you want to do this? And Junior's like, heck yeah. So talked to him yesterday. He's super excited about it. And he's going to get to climb down off the box and help on pit stops, leaning over the wall and catching the tires as they roll off the car. So new role for him, but one that he is really excited about.
Yeah, I don't know about the pit stop thing. I feel like that might be a little more pressure than just being on the radio.
He said he went to Trackhouse this weekend and practiced. He said with their pit stop guys. He said they let him they rolled some tires to him and like they were doing in their pit stop practice, and Junior was over there kind of getting a feel for that. So
I vote we
cool.
focus on that, first pit stop. I vote that we just do a little spot shadow right on Dale Jr., make sure he doesn't mess that up.
I think we might have a camera on him, so so no pressure, Dale. We'll have the cameras on you, the eyes on you here. So he's got, and there'll be some other guys down there kind of on the pit box too. Pat Martin, who is normally the car chief on this race car, will be down there helping Dale with some of these calls. Mike Bumgardner, who of course is a former crew chief and now more of a competition director role at Junior Motorsports down there too. So not going to be just Dale by himself, kind of a team effort here, but Dale will be on the radio talking to Connor and kind of the one that ultimately is in charge of what's the instructions for Connor.
Yeah, and I think that's not just because it's Dale. That's just the way it's done in every team now.
Exactly.
It's a little bit of a committee. Everyone has their job, and ultimately the crew chief has the ultimate say, but it's a little bit of a committee decision on everything, on strategy and how they're going to work all that out.
And I thought it was cool too. We spent a good amount of time yesterday, and he was talking about just his excitement of having a role with the team. He said, as a car owner, you just show up at the racetrack and you have people in these positions that are hired to do a specific job. He said, me as the car owner, there's not really a lot I can do that's not going to just be in the way. So he said, for me to be here and have a role that's going to make a difference ultimately in the outcome of our day, he said, hopefully I do the right things, but I'm excited about the chance to just make an impact on one of my teams, which I think is cool. That's the racer in him, right? That never goes away.
Yeah, and he's picked a pretty good guy to get to crew chief. I think if I was going to be a crew chief, I'd be like, I'll take Larson. I'll take one of these guys that I know is going to run well. And when you look at what Zilic has been able to do, especially recently, 2 second-place finishes and then followed it up with the best car last week at Mexico, but finished 5th overall after having some issues late in the race. I think that, Dale's crew chief career, if it's only this one, is probably going to have a pretty good result.
See him chatting there with Allgaier and Jim Pullman, crew chief for the 7 car. And we'll wait Zilic out here as the Group 2 cars are rolling as we speak for their 25 minutes of practice. There they go, all at once. Everybody's ready to go.
Yeah, we got 2.5 mile track, and we're all going to wreck on pit road just trying to get out
They
here
just
as quick
about
as we
did.
can.
The 41 and the 20 just about ran into each other there. So everybody will get spread out here and get some laps under their belt here. Sammy Smith and Carson Quapple leading the way for Group 2.
Maybe a little steering wheel adjustment for the 88, trying to get that on straight. That's so critical as a driver. They have a line, on the top of the wheel, and I always wanted that at like 12 o'clock or just a little bit to the left. I hated it. You see that one's a little bit to the right? I hated that. It always made me feel like I was loose in because the sensation on the straightaway was that you were turning right already. So I always wanted that line just straight up or just a little bit to the left. And you can adjust that inside of the car, and then if you can't get it right there, they can actually make some adjustments on the tie rod, the steering rod links to help you out just a little bit. But that was always a big deal, and I don't like where his is. Nope, that looks loose. That looks loose.
That's Daniel Dye getting a look at. And Carla is downstairs with the guy who was second fastest in practice right now.
Yeah, that's right, Dylan, here with Chase Elliott. You ran the most laps out in practice, so what'd you find out there?
Yeah, just trying to get time. And just these cars are so different, and it just takes me a minute to get back up to speed. So I just probably didn't blister off the fastest lap. I also don't want to stuff it in the fence on the second lap out either. So yeah, just trying to get a rhythm again. And I feel like our Hendrick car's Chevy had a good balance once I got going. Just took me a minute to get up to speed, so that's why I just kept running. I feel like I'm going to be a bigger, weaker link than the car's been. So just, wanted to run and thought it was worth it. So we'll see how it goes.
A little bit of a surprise adding this to your schedule. What made sense about coming back to Pocono and Xfinity?
I just, I only had one on the schedule this year, and Chad asked me if I wanted to do another one, and I absolutely did. I had fun with it, and Adam and Greg and everybody's just done a really good job with this car, and it's been a lot of fun to be a part of. It's been kind of cool being a part of the growth of kind of where we started with this thing to where it is now, and it's really fast. So I, would like to enjoy a little bit of that too, and so we'll see how it goes.
Great, thanks, guys.
That's exactly what Adam Wall, the crew chief, said yesterday. He's like, these Cup guys that they want to run this car. It's obviously a no pressure experience for them, but not only that, it's a car that can win. And they know that, as good as that car has been the last couple of years. It's an opportunity for them to just jump back in something, have a little fun, and just go for a win. And that's a nice change of pace sometimes versus the pressure and the expectation of what these guys deal with every week on Sundays.
Yeah, and as a Cup driver, when you can run the Xfinity car for the same organization as your Cup cars out of it, it's way easier. Like just the fitment of the car, the pedal ratios, the brake pads, everything, they know what you like because everybody likes something a little bit different. So for Chase to be able to get in that, it's so nice. And he said it runs well. It's fast every week, and there is no doubt that the confidence that you get on Saturday will carry over to Sunday.
As Brandon Jones, take a little ride with him and see what he's working with in the 20 car.
Yeah, interesting thing, just looking at that right off the bat, I've never seen that shade of a visor. It's kind of a red tint, like not even like an amber. So I'm curious to see what he likes about that or what's different about that for him. The focus in his eyes, though, look at that, almost angry looking inside of the car. See when he hit those bumps, the wheel not shake out of his hand, but have a little bit of movement. The car looks pretty tight. You see him turn off into the corner. Not really nervous on entry, see him kind of feeding it down into the corner. This will be the tightest of all of the corners because of the lack of banking. And again, pretty stable on exit. So rank right now on the lap time. Second overall. So car looks tight, but it's got a lot of speed in it. So here at bottom out, just a little bit there into turn one. Pushed up just a little bit off the bottom.
You can hear him having to weight on the throttle. Does seem a little bit snug.
Yeah, and I would tell you that I think going in the second round is probably not better. I would think the first round would have had more speed. We see Jones right here in 2020 getting that truck win. So this is a track that he obviously likes. Anytime you can, it's so weird seeing a mask in victory lane. Anytime you can come back to a track, well, it is weird. I mean, like you looked up, I'm like, what does he do? He just I forgot about that. 5
years ago.
I want to forget about all that. Yeah.
Brandon finished 4th in the Truck Series race yesterday for Tricon Garage. Lane Riggs picked up the win there. So another one that has got some experience already this weekend on the character and bumps and everything that makes this racetrack truly tricky. Jones second right now. Here's Carson Kvapil in the one car for Junior Motorsports. Down in 15th right now. Tough weekend for them last weekend at Mexico City.
But he was fast
again. He was again.
I mean, every week, again, like super fast. Great little road racer. Had a shot to win at COTA earlier this year, battled with his teammate Connor Zillage. And as you look at how much success Junior Motorsports has had this year and the 5 different winners in their 7 wins, this guy hasn't won yet. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure he's going to win before the year's over. Everybody thinks a lot of Carson and his ability and the speed overall. It's been pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, it's so amazing that he has been as good as he's been on the road courses, just given his background, but fast everywhere we go. Here's William Sawalich, Joe Gibbs Racing, another rookie, the 18 car. Career best 6th at Mexico City last week, and this is a team that their struggles at the start of the year have been well documented, just as William learns what it takes to race in the Xfinity Series. Jeff Mendering, his crew chief, has been a staunch supporter all year long of this is going to be a second half of the year team as William learns, as they learn what he needs, and that's proven true. They've had a good couple of weeks here. As we said, had a top 10 last week at Mexico City.
Yeah, that was big for them to get to have a little bit of confidence. And they had a little bit of an up and down day at Mexico City, but ultimately was able to put it together when they needed to. Surprised that William didn't run the truck race yesterday. We've seen him run quite a few truck races. That must not have been an option with Tricon, who he's run a lot of those races for. But because he's making his first start here, and man, hard racetrack. We talked about it the whole show. And to come here and get 25 minutes of practice, I can't imagine how challenging that is for those guys.
Only past Xfinity Series winner here at Pocono in the field this weekend is Austin Hill. See him there on the 21 car, down in 17th right now. As we said, a winner here a couple years ago. back in 2023. Working his way through some junior motorsports traffic there, battling with Josh Berry. This was a great late race battle.
Oh, look at that. Man, that straightaway, the draft that you get, and then the side draft, those guys trying to slow everyone down. It gets late. It gets so aggressive here. It's fun to watch.
And for more on the 21, here's Carla.
Yeah, Dylan, the 21 reporting the swinging in the back is really bad. He said he's initially there, but then it just swings.
Okay, interesting. I can't imagine, we've talked about it, but getting the balance right, you're never happy, right? It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect here. So I think you have to sacrifice probably one end or the other for sure, and just try and make do at the other end of the racetrack. Harrison Burton in the 25, another driver that will be in the discussion for the next few weeks on the playoff bubble cut line. He is on the good side of it right now at +3.
This has been a tough track for Harrison as well. Even back in 2020, the best finish in 32nd. That was in a Gibbs car, so been in a good car here, but just been a tough track for him. Right on board. I guess everybody likes that little line to the right now on their steering wheel because we've had two on boards and they both have it that way. That would just drive me crazy.
Well, is that so when you turn, it's straight up and down and level?
I don't like that. I think I'd like to challenge him. I'd like him to straighten it up.
Yeah, I don't either.
Second, having to work the wheel quite a bit more than what we saw Brandon Jones. It looks like that car's a little bit free on exit. We'll see as he goes into the tunnel turn here and see what the bumps do to his steering wheel, kind of watch his head. The headrest right there. Oh man, it doesn't look bad on TV, even I'm telling you, inside. It's such a fast corner. You're going 165 miles an hour, 170 through that tunnel turn, and you hit those bumps, and the problem is you'll push one lap through there, you'll need front grip, and the next lap it jumps sideways on you loose. You don't really know what to expect.
10 minutes into Group 2 of practice, the tunnel turn.
You're good. Come on back. Straight back. That's good. I'm just going to throw it back around the right front.
Where it is. 2. Close the left rear shock. 10. We are going to try to make it better for you.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely go faster, and I can get through the tunnel better than I am right now, too, so we just got to get the right rear a little more supportive.
Copy. Get the thumbs up, let's go. Like he was probably strongest in our group. Yeah, the 10 fired off at a 55.80 and a 55.90. We got him prepared. He's spacing faster than that this time. Yeah, copy. Copy.
Sensation like it just felt like the whole rear of the car would kind of swing around, and as soon as it do that, I'd lose all lateral, so I couldn't commit to throttle or anything.
Yeah, good deal. We can do an adjustment here, and we can actually help that more after practice with the changes. So, yeah, all good here. We'll fill this out. Should be a pretty big number change here, and then go from there.
Go quick.
Rolling along in practice for the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at Pocono. Group 2 halfway through their session. Dylan Welch and Jamie McMurray with you here on the CW. Harlan Metz downstairs in the pits, getting all the stories.
The last few in 3 and gain
Justin Allgaier fastest. He was out in group number 1, and you see on the scoreboard at the bottom of the screen, group 2 cars highlighted in orange. Brandon Jones, fastest of this group and second overall. As we get a look at Sheldon Creed, who is down in 17th overall. This car and team won last year, so I think they were maybe expecting a little bit more than that.
Yeah, and Stuart Haas has won here twice.
Right.
You know, so it's obviously a great track for Cole Custer, but I would also think that these are cars that I had my eye on. Mayer ran second here a couple years ago, so good track for him. And I thought maybe that combination of what SHR had at this racetrack, along with, you know, Creed was on the pole here last year. It doesn't look like they have that fire-off speed. We'll just have to wait and see kind of how the race plays out for them. Maybe the long run is going to be their strong suit. I would tell you the trend that I see is that if you have short run speed, you also have long run speed. It doesn't seem like there's any give and take on that. It's like if you have it at the beginning, you have it at the end.
Then we look at Taylor Gray putting a move on Josh Williams here. Looked like something kicked up there or fell off his car. Second place finisher last week at Mexico City. Had a shot. He was right there on Daniel Suarez, and
it looked like he was going to take a shot.
He laid the bumper to him. He laid the bumper to him, but just a little bit too late for the 54 of Taylor Gray. But a huge weekend for him on the point side of things, as he basically, because of the international provisional, was awarded winner's worth of points, but scored the most stage points on the day anyways, and took himself from, I think it was 32 points in the hole to right on the playoff cut line there in 12th. So huge weekend for them. He and crew chief Jason Ratcliffe put together a run.
Yeah, I talked to Jason a little bit yesterday. You know, the confidence is really high at the 54 team. I think with the other road courses that we have coming up, a win's, you know, not out of the question. Even here, this has been a really good track for Taylor. Won the ARCA race here back in 2022. But the guy that you see on the right, he's smart, savvy, incredible leader. I think that Jason's mindset bleeds into Taylor, you know, and you see how he handles some of his situations. Your leader's everything to your team, and what I have seen out of Taylor, I think, has been exceptional. And the road courses have been surprising, but man, he's another guy. I just think, like Sheldon Creed, Dylan, that is just a win has to be around the corner.
And so close. He maybe should have had one at Martinsville earlier this year and kind of got muscled out of the way there at the end, and that chaos up the finish. Carla, you have more on the 54?
I definitely don't think we're bad.
Yeah, you were talking about that second place finish, and talk about a consolation prize. Not only does he get all of those points from last week in Mexico, but he gets the purse as well. So he felt pretty good about all of that. Obviously, that helped the 54 move up in the playoff standings. Now tied with Ryan Sieg for that 12th spot. Gray told me this week, we now don't have to worry so much about points. We don't have to have those conversations in the shop. We can really focus on getting that first win. And they felt obviously really great about coming in here to Pocono, where he finished 5th in his first start in the series in 2024. I asked him, why is he so good here? And he said, honestly, I wish I had a better answer for you. He said, I just feel like a lot of drivers focus on the exit of 1, the turn of 3, but I feel others overlook the importance of being good through that turn tunnel. So he says that's where he really focuses a lot of his effort when he comes to Pocono.
Well, I would tell Taylor, don't worry about the why, just take the result, because he has been incredible, really good at this racetrack. And that's an interesting mindset, because most people will tell you turn 3 is where you need to be the best. I like that, though, that it's not just about one corner, because the one thing about being good in turn 3 is that if you can't complete the pass, you have this 3/4 of a mile long straightaway that if you run side by side, not only do you not pass the guy, but whoever's behind you passes both of you. So it can make it more challenging, and all the corners are equally important in the race, and it's just about finding that balance that you can to get your car where it needs to be.
Here's Jesse Love for Richard Childress Racing in the 2-car. 12th right now as we approach the final few minutes of Group 2 of practice. This team has kind of been interesting to me the last couple of weeks. I think they came out of the gate so strong, obviously, with the win at Daytona. Crossed the line first at Rockingham before the DQ so fast, and then the last couple of weeks, not so much of a slump, but just kind of quiet, and haven't really been in the picture as much as maybe we expected them to be this time of year.
No, and you got to wonder, Dylan, because we start out the year at Daytona where these cars are exceptional, right? The 2 and the 21, the RCR cars. Then you have Atlanta, where they're, again, exceptional, that you have that little bit of momentum. They go to Rockingham, they obviously win the race, they get it taken away. But you have that momentum at the beginning of the year, and it kind of bleeds off into some of the other races. But you said it, it's been a little bit of an up and down, 18th last week. So they need to get back on track. And when I look back at the race last year, not a great track for Jesse last year. It wasn't, they used a little bit of strategy to try to get to where they need to be, but didn't have a tremendous result in 22nd last year. So a little bit of work to do here.
7 minutes left in practice. Justin Allgaier overall fastest. Brandon Jones quickest of the cars on track right now.
Still have that front end kind of slide right in the center.
50. What's good right now? Exit 1 is probably our strongest part of the racetrack. Turn a little bit, exit 3.
Now I got it back to your best.
Oh yeah, that was way better.
Yeah, that was a gain right there. Gain in turn 2.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop.
Without like an actual S&D, but they just have that little bit of like surge. I don't think they're going 100%, but they're definitely like tipping back in right there.
To that 10. Behind.
Free, we started identical to the 7, so if he was free, I figured it was going to be, but he needed to be able to feel it, know he had exactly what Justin had.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
A little bit better that time, but still losing on exit of 1.
It slowed up a little bit.
Winding down Xfinity Series practice here on the CW from Pocono. Under 5 minutes remaining in Group 2. Connor Zilic, third right now overall. Not too bad for his first laps ever on this racetrack. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's amazing to come here and to never run a lap. And I asked him, I'm like, how do you prepare like this weekend ever being here? And talked about sim being very important. He said in-car cameras. He's like, I don't get a lot out of watching like the broadcast or the streaming, the outside perspective of the car. I like seeing what the drivers go through inside of the car, but it's not just the fast lap. Look at the 10-lap average. He's the same, a little quicker than you see his teammate Justin Allgaier. So has the speed on the first lap, and again, the speed stays in that 88 car. So going to be another good day for the 88. I think it also says a lot. Are we going to give Dale Jr. credit for this?
I think we have to.
I think we have to, right? Yeah, he's unloaded a great car. So. Good job.
Zilic has been on the front row in 2 of the last 3 races, so certainly looks like he could be on pace to do that again here this weekend at Pocono.
Yeah, junior motorsports in general, as you just think about this season, cars are really good. You know, the gossip in the garage is that Hendrick Motorsports, that their Xfinity program is just on top right now. Come to a track like this with these massively long straightaways, you have a good handling car and you have the best engines. It's a great combination.
Had all cars in the top 10 at Nashville a couple weeks ago. Pretty impressive feat. Good to have Justin Bonsignor back in the Joe Gibbs Racing number 19 car. First race for him since Rockingham back in April. And I like this car too.
He's just picked the hardest tracks.
I know.
I mean, like we talked about this a little bit yesterday with Zilic and Justin Allgaier about the tracks that Justin has picked this year. Picked Rockingham, Bristol, Homestead, Pocono, just some of the toughest tracks to come to for the first time. And this guy is an incredible driver. When you watch him run these modifieds every single weekend, he is the guy to beat. really methodical, smart driver, aggressive when he needs to be. It's just, this is a different world, and he'll tell you that. You know, you come to these big fast tracks, different cars. You know, it's a different world, but exceptional driver in a good car. Love to see him have a good run here at Pocono today.
Yeah, he's had some good runs this year too in that 19 car. As you talked about earlier, tough as a part-time guy with minimal experience in these cars anyways, just to jump in here and make it go. But he's done a really nice job this year to give them some good runs in that 19 car. Spoke with Seth Chavka yesterday, the crew chief, too. He said they were in the sim a lot this week, getting him ready to go. As we see Daniel Dye.
You know what I see?
What's
he
that?
straightened the steering wheel up. Look,
he did. He heard
he did. I think Carla went over there and mentioned it to him.
Been really impressed with this 10 car, too, the last couple of weeks. A lot of speed. Some good results for Daniel. Had a couple top 10s.
Sneaky
yes,
is the word, right? Like, I don't think it's been this flashy performance, but you look up at the end of the race and you mentioned that Rockingham, Talladega, Texas, like 9th, 10th, and 11th. It's been really good for him. 13th last week at Mexico, like not flashy, but getting the job done. So good for him. And to me, that says that you're getting better throughout the race, right? It's that, not that you're out winning like stages, but you're getting your car better, you're doing a better job as a driver, and you're putting the whole race together, which is ultimately what you want.
I think he's been arguably the best Colic car here through this first third of the season for sure. Christian Eckes has had speed, but just frankly some terrible luck and terrible misfortune that this car, the 10 car, has kind of been able to put some good solid results together here the last few weeks. So see what Daniel can do. Has a couple Truck Series starts here. Here's Jeb Burton in the 27. Another driver in the mix on the playoff side of things. Finished 8th last week at Mexico City. That was a huge result for them, just to come out of there with a really solid day. Good points for him. Put him 23 above the cut line.
Jeb Burton and this team, they do the best job at getting the most points for the day. And maybe not always the best finish. They run well at the end of these, but they give up a finish to get the stage points. And that is why he's 23 now above the cutoff line, is because of some of the decisions that they have made. So, you know, some of that is Jeb's experience and maybe missing out by just a few, knowing if we could have just done this different, you know, 10 races ago, where we would be. But you mentioned it, a great run last week at Mexico. I don't think of him as a road racer, but yeah, good result there. Obviously, know he'll be good at a place like Atlanta that we're going to go next week. He has to have that circled on his calendar.
Red and black flags displayed in Group 2, so that'll do it for practice. Connor Zilic, you see him there with Earnhardt,
which was making me tighter overall.
10-4. Yeah, you can jump out. We'll talk about it. We'll look at a few things here.
Kind of what we've been dealing with all year, you know.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Also, got to remember we put 2 or 3 heat cycles on them there, so that it's going to build a little tighter with the heat cycles. I don't want to overstep to qualify.
A little bit. Now straight. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's like I can't get it slowed down in that corner. I feel like I'm just blowing through the front tires. I lift early. I go in harder. I do everything I can. I'm in the 3rd group no matter what I do. Besides the first 2 laps, that's when it turned.
Some guys said when I was behind them guys. It is what it is. We'll just get our car driving the best we can and run it.
4. Yeah, like right there, we were a little free. We did get just a touch free in the 1. I thought we were much better. I could hold the bottom a little bit better. And I could kind of drive through that little bit of tight, a little bit more off. I would kind of step on the gas and it would rotate it, especially off 4. Yeah, definitely a step in the right direction. Yeah, that might be a little bit free to start, maybe, possibly. Definitely too free for qualifying, but.
Anything on left side forward with the tires on?
It's Pocono Raceway for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, one of the biggest challenges of the year.
That build one more split to the right side tire pressures.
Pocono Raceway.
That's how you do it! Oh my God!
Always such an exciting place for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and the folks here in the Poconos are out in droves already this morning. Grandstands announced as a sellout for tomorrow, and I believe the infield camping is sold out as well. So great group of folks here watching Justin Allgaier so far pace the way in NASCAR Xfinity Series practice over Brandon Jones and Connor Zilisch, the top three. Harrison Burton down there in fifth, Chase Elliott there.
Rails tape.
Yeah, that's right. Connor Zilisch with some speed at practice. You got to feel pretty good about that run.
Yeah, no, it's good for sure. Our Logistics Chevrolet is fast at Xfinity Mobile. It's the first time we've run this car. It looks awesome. Yeah, we got a new crew chief this weekend. He's working hard back there. So yeah, it's been cool to get to work with Dale, and you know, our car's really good too. So hopefully we can keep that up throughout the race, but definitely a good start.
Yeah, you got the speed, but I got to ask, do you have the pressure with him being the crew chief? Because I mean, you said you've gotten maybe a little bit more attention this week.
Yeah, no, I think I've never had a crew chief that signs more autographs than me before, but I do this weekend. So yeah, it's cool to have him. It's no extra pressure. He's our boss every week. So yeah, it's just cool to have him a little more tuned in this weekend and giving him a job to do. He always feels like he's here as a team owner and doesn't really have a say in much, but you know, this weekend he does.
You want that win maybe a little bit more today?
Yeah, I mean, I always want to win, but it would be extra cool today to get a win with Dale and definitely make this weekend more memorable.
Thanks, Connor.
Yeah, he mentioned people wanting Dale's autograph. There were a lot of people down there around the 88 car yesterday as Dale was trying to supervise the car and get it through tech. Qualifying up next from Pocono for the Xfinity Series.
Before it starts? Yeah. You're about 7 minutes out. No, 5 minutes. I guess that's 5 minutes.
Black duct tape.
Let's start 7 after, based on that number.
On the CW.
Back at Pocono, crews making final adjustments before they make a qualifying attempt. See the Junior Motorsports cars there. Let's hear from the boss and crew chief of that car, the 88. He's with Carla.
That's right, Dylan. He's got a new title this week, and obviously you just completed your first practice as a crew chief. How'd it go?
Really good. Car's fast off the trailer. Had a lot of fun yesterday trying to get it through tech. This is pretty thrilling. Almost as much of an adrenaline rush as driving the race cars, which I've missed. So pretty cool to be in this situation. But we got a great team around us, a lot of great people at Junior Motorsports to make sure that we came here prepared. We're ready for stuff like this. Mike Baumgartner and the entire organization knew exactly how to handle this weekend and put Connor on the racetrack in a comfortable place, and so far so good.
I asked Allgaier earlier this week if there were a lot of conversations about trying to beat you since you're the crew chief this week. What's that been like, and is there that added pressure to maybe get a win over some of your other cars?
It'd be nice to win today no matter which car gets to victory lane, because both of my little girls are here, so I'd like them to experience that. So whether it's Connor or the other three, it doesn't make a difference to me. We just enjoy having, we've had a great year trying to rival one of our better years we had a couple, seasons ago. We set goals and personal goals for the company, and we're on a good little run here. So got great speed in our cars. It's going to be a tough competition out there today with the Gibbs cars and the 17. So Chase Elliott's going to make us earn it, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll see if that 88 can get another win, guys.
I heard race car driver a little bit there. He's in the zone, ready to go. See what the 88's got. See if he can go for another front row start here at Pocono.
Copy. A lab, talk to us on the back there. See if it's better. Finished. Just making sure you maximize your run best you can over the tunnel, over the bump. You can fire it up. To the green.
At 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Hope you'll join us. Ryan Blaney will be in the booth for that. Excited to hear his thoughts. Former winner in the Cup Series here. And then, of course, the Cup race on Sunday on Prime at 2 Eastern.
Yes, I am.
Well, this is a big racetrack, and we had the road course last week in Mexico City where we had the alternate start-finish line that was in a unique spot on the racetrack, kind of presented a challenge in its own. There's also one here on the oval at Pocono. That's between, not an oval, the triangle at Pocono, over there between turns 2 and 3. So it'll allow these drivers to complete their lap and then head right to pit road as opposed to having to make a whole other lap around here. So just to kind of help expedite the process, as these are long laps, as we've already discussed. Dawson Cram leading the field off here with his qualifying effort.
Yeah, I saw social media. Dawson was up at 2 a.m. building shocks for this car for this weekend, earlier this week. So Gotta love the commitment from him to get here. A lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that you don't know. Appreciate him posting that. Let everybody know exactly how hard he's working. That alternate start-finish line, that is one of those things that is a great idea, and you wonder why it took us so long to figure it out. Like, how many times did somebody get in someone's way when they would shut down after the start-finish line, like coasting back to the pits?
And we'll have double the action here with cars on the racetrack at the same time here. Big enough racetrack that you can have guys at one end of the track, and they won't be in each other's way. So Dawson Cram has already completed his run at the at a 57.54. And Carson Ware is out here now in the 35 for Joey Gase Racing. Have a couple of cars, too, that are not going to make an attempt. Logan Bearden, we understand, hit something on the racetrack that caused some damage to his race car that is not going to enable him to qualify. And then we saw the issue with Kyle Sieg in the 28, where the hood flew up on his race car. He also will not make an attempt. But 38 cars entered this weekend. Everybody will still get a chance to start. Here's Chase Elliott. This will be a good early benchmark. The Hendrick Motorsports 17.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, some of the tracks going out early is a deficit because the rubber gets picked up. I don't know that you're going to see that at Pocono, and I would tell you that I think early could even be an advantage just because the sun's coming out. The track's going to continue to get warmer and warmer. The one disadvantage for Chase Elliott over some of these other guys, and Chase said this in his interview earlier, is that he hasn't been in this Xfinity car very much. And so when they put this thing in qualifying trim, it obviously adds a lot of grip because of the air pressure, but then they put tape on it, so you don't really know where the balance shift is going to go. So there's some unknowns. And qualifying without a doubt, especially here, it's a big commitment. And the commitment equals a lot of lap time. So we'll see kind of where he's going to stack up here based on what he did earlier today.
54.209. He was committed coming off the tunnel turn there. A little bit of bobble and just about got into the outside wall there, but no harm, no foul. Elliott goes to the top, and here's Brennan Poole in the Alpha Prime number 44. Best finish of 12th for him here. And we already mentioned he's doing double duty this week, and he goes to second at a 55.12.
Yeah, just as a reference, Elliott ran a 54.20. Last year, the pole was a 53.80, so about 0.4 quicker. You know, look, it could be the difference in the day, but I'm going to say that the pole's going to be a little bit quicker than what Chase ran right there.
And we're about a second faster than the best times in practice earlier this morning as well. So track continuing to build speed here as we get a little bit later on into the mid-morning here.
Yeah, and this is one of those tracks that you have a massive pickup because when they put the tape on, there's less drag. You have these, see how long these straightaways are. Then when they put the new tires on, you put the air pressure in them. When you gain just a little bit of mid-corner speed here, you get to carry it for so long that it really magnifies the lap time gain. So this is a great place to qualify because as a driver, you kind of know where your RPMs were in practice, and then you go out with this tape and the tires, you're like, oh my God, the engine sounds so good now. It's like, not slowing down as much. It just feels great.
Next duo out on the racetrack, Parker Retzloff there on the left of the screen in the 4 car, and Jeremy Clements in the 51.
Yeah, we didn't talk a lot about Parker, but it has been a struggle the last 3 weeks. 37th, 37th, 35th. Expected more out of him, based on the way the season started. You think about back to Rockingham, the great run he had. Yeah, they've got to get that together and get some consistency back. He's known as a great qualifier, but they got to put the whole race together.
Road courses have been a challenge for Retzloff this year. Missed the show at Circuit of the Americas, and with a few more of those coming up here within the next month. I know they just want to try to kind of minimize the points lost on that 4 car. Retzloff goes to 4th. Clements was 3rd, and here's our next qualifier, Ryan Ellis in the 71 for DGM Racing.
And his car looked a little sketchy in the tunnel turn earlier today. We'll see what adjustments they have made and what kind of a lap time that Ryan can put together here.
Both DGM cars out together here. Josh Balicki in the 91. Mentioned him just part-time this year in that race car. Ellis has an 18th place finish to his credit here at Pocono. That came a couple years ago.
54.
And he's working his way over on the backside of the racetrack right now. As Balicki takes the green flag down the front straightaway here and works into turn number 1.
These were the two that were goofing off last night, right?
They were
doing the
teammates.
photo shoot.
Right.
The VRBO, yeah.
Yes. Ellis goes to 5th. Nice pickup for him. And Balicki working his way out of turn number 1, and he'll finish his lap here in just a moment. Let's go back down to Carla.
Yeah, Dylan here with Sam Mayer. Obviously, you're still looking for your first win this season. Ford looking for their first win, but you told me yesterday you feel pretty good about your chances at a place like Pocono.
Yeah, absolutely. This place is really special. It's one of a kind. So to win here and to kind of be able to master it is really it's really tough. So being able to do that would be a lot of fun. You have to have a car as fast as Xfinity Mobile. The Audubon Ford Mustang isn't quite there yet, especially looking at the qualifying lap time right now. We definitely got to pick it up a little bit, but I think by the end of the race we'll be in a good spot. But I'm just happy to be here. This place is a lot of fun, being in the Northeast, so let's have some fun.
It's hard to believe that not only has Mayer not won, but Ford has not won yet this year either. They hadn't won last year until they came here to Pocono. It was later in the year, but this is a racetrack where those that Ford engine kind of formula, the Roush Yates formula, loves these long straightaways. They really get going here.
Yeah, and Ford has the numbers against them in general, right? Not a lot of Fords in the field, and Chevy is just having this incredible year with what they've been able to put together, not just with Junior Motorsports, but also with Richard Childress Racing. But I think you got to keep your eye on Sam Mayer and Sheldon Creed today. I know they didn't practice well. The speed that car had last year here, and the fact that the SHR's won here twice, I feel like they'll figure it out before the race is over.
Saw Josh Balicki there before we spoke with Sam Mayer. He ends up 7th. A couple more cars out on the racetrack right now. Garrett Smithley in the 14. And we saw Mason Massey as well in the 45. He moved to the 6th spot. Smithley will work his way out of turn number 2 here and already has done so. 56.62 his time, 8th of the 10 cars that have qualified as Blaine Perkins rolls onto the speedway next.
Yep. Blaine was 26th in practice, so a little bit of work to do here. I feel like sometimes when you look at that fast lap, though, with guys, if they were a little timid on their out, first or second lap in practice, it could really, impact that speed. So we'll see, have they made the right adjustments here? How hard is he willing to push this? You see he's on this 3,700-foot long straightaway down the front stretch. You actually have a little bit of a tailwind, so a lot of speed carried in to turn 1. I don't know if you can see it right there, but there's some cones that stick out of the fence. You'll see them getting into the tunnel turn here as well. Kind of like braking markers, you drive really deep, but it's the reference point that all drivers will use of where they're lifting for each corner. There used to actually be markers on the wall, and you see right there the cones. There's a 3, a 2, and a 1. Use those all race long as a reference. And one of the things that you can use those for is if you're right up behind somebody and you can't see, you can still see those cones out of the corner of your eye, so you kind of know where you are and how deep you need to drive into the corner.
Those have to be easier to process than like the 500, 400, 300.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, they're just reference points, right? And as long as they don't move them, you kind of know from trip to trip here, and you'll put that in your notes of where you were lifting, how much brake pressure you were using for each of those.
Good lap for Nick Sanchez here. Jumps to the 2nd spot. Couple tenths off of Chase Elliott, but a 54.41 for the 48 car moves him to P2. And Blaine Perkins' lap, good enough for 7th at a 55.65.
Yeah, and both of those guys, Sanchez and Elliott, picked up right at about a second from what they ran, so that's probably the delta that we're going to have to shoot for. My gut tells me we'll be in that 50. Somebody will put a really good lap together. I think we'll be back down around that 53.80 for the pole. So, but those are still going to be very respectable laps. The interesting part about Pocono is because it's such a big track and there's a big difference in lap time here. Like, you can come here and be a half second off, and if you have that at Martinsville, you're getting lapped into. Oh, we got a spin right here.
Leland Honeyman in the 70.
Ooh, that's a good spin because he didn't hit anything. Looks like he doesn't even have a flat tire.
Yeah, he
really fortunate right there to spin out of the track this fast.
Ryan Sieg was out there as well. The yellow has been displayed, so he'll get another shot at it.
In turns 1, 1, and 2, we'll call it. You see it just looks like that thing steps out from underneath him. It wasn't even like he was crossing a seam or we saw it hit bumps. It was just a big commitment by him, hoping that he could, make that around the corner. But wow, look how fortunate right here to spin going that fast and not back it in the wall or worse yet, if you continue down the inside, you see a lot of guys get to the inside wall, staying in the throttle right there, spinning the tires. Once he felt it stop going up, get on the brakes, hope that engine doesn't go backwards. You see he's going to stay on the brakes right there because you don't want the engine to go backwards. It's really hard on them.
The 48 touched the top
they just
seam
kind of
with
step
the
out
right
on him.
in it. I don't think it was good.
Seen a lot of guys go through turn 1 and kind of wash up like that. That is sort of the natural angle of exit at the corner there. But
stall 19, Ryan.
A little bit of a scare for the 70, but no damage.
Not even any flats.
Nothing.
Unbelievable. Yep. Yeah. That's unfortunate for Sieg right here because of the way that they send 2 cars out. You've left the pits. Interesting to see how much that impacts him. The tires, I mean, you want brand new tires here. You don't want scuffed tires. You want stickers. So see how hot the engine also got. You have that little bit of time between those rounds to get everything cooled down.
Well, we think the track is going to continue to get better. So does that maybe does that
Yeah.
help him, or is it kind of a come out in the wash with the warmer engine and scuffed tires?
I think it depends if you want to be optimistic or pessimistic.
We'll be optimistic.
Yeah. So it's going to get better for Ryan. I think that's going to work well. This is going to be a great standard to see where the track is. And Justin, one thing with that alternate start-finish line, you see he's shaking the car back and forth, just getting a little bit of heat in the tires. You used to leave the pits here and not run hard until the exit of the tunnel turn to save your tires and then get that big run coming to the front stretch. But because of where that alternate start-finish line is, Justin's like, look, man, we leave the pits. We just run as hard as we can because you want to get as much speed built up right here off the tunnel turn. It takes a while to get up to speed here. And then you see he's going to start his lap actually right here on this little short chute heading to turn 3.
Yeah, you got to get going as soon as you leave the pits. So all guy are on the clock. 54.209 is the Chase Elliott time that he is aiming for right now.
Yeah, and look at the lap time, already a 10th and a half off. Turn 3, you want to be good for an overall lap time because it leads onto the longest straightaway. And you see Justin about 2/10 off into turn 1. We'll see, though. Does his car get through turn 1 a little better? Looks like he got in better. Paying the price, though, on exit. Looks like that car actually pushed up a little bit on exit. Lost another 10th to Chase Elliott. You see that tracker, man, when you don't come off the corners good here, the penalty you pay, it's bigger than any other track that we go to because you pay it all the way to the next corner that you get to. But he had a really good tunnel turn, gained a little bit of it back.
Still able to slot into third at a 54.58. Chris Wright also on the racetrack finishing his lap. Carla is downstairs with last week's second-place finisher.
That's right, Dylan, here with Taylor Gray. Obviously, you've had success at a place like Pocono. How did practice go, and what more do you need from your car before qualifying?
Yeah, I feel like practice was okay. I feel like we're really close to being as fast as Xfinity Mobile. Just need a little bit of work, but overall lap time, things like that look pretty decent. So can't thank everyone from Joe Gibbs Racing enough for bringing me a really fast Operation 300 GR Supra. Just got to go qualify here and execute a lap.
Great mindset right there. You heard him say they just need a little bit. Unfortunately, that's all they can do because of the minimal adjustments you can make after practice heading into qualifying and into the race. And as I mentioned, I think Ratcliffe's as good of a leader as you can have on the pit box, and that 54 team, a lot of momentum.
Good track for Anthony Alfredo as qualifying rolls on here from Pocono. Never been worse than 16th here. This is actually statistically his second best racetrack just based on average finish. That's a 14.3 average finish for him. So good opportunity for this group to have a good weekend.
Yeah, he's going to be a little bit disappointed right here in this lap based on what he did in practice. We talked about guys, picking up about a second. It looks to me like he's going to be similar to what he actually ran in practice, if not worse. He looked at a terrible tunnel turn right there.
9th for Alfredo at a 55.67. Qualifying.
And the one behind him, so you'll go out second. Yeah, we'll be fine. Pit 3 on initial entry, you were car width, one car width lower. You were even in. By the time you got over here to start finish, he was 2 ahead of you. Maybe 3 car lengths. Yeah, wait, so just pick it up quicker. Yeah, I'm looking at one more time to 3. And 2 car lengths on the 7. But remember, the 7 lost off of 3. Turn 1, both of them drove in a half car length deeper than what you did on your initial lap. And they drove in a car length deeper into 2 than you did on your initial lap, with a quarter of the brake. 10-4. On the first half of that, try again. Did you see where the 17 car ran in turn 3 and turn 1? I'll find out. No, I was plugging my iPad in at that point. I watched what the 7 did, but I'll find out where the 17 did. Let you know. What about the 7? Where are they? Is 7 fast too? He wasn't as fast as I thought. He's 3rd, 48 seconds. 7 ran he ran bottom, turn 3, right down to the paint, barely touching it. 1/3 to 2/3. Turn 1, he ran
Pacific on the CW.
First seam, about a tire width below that first seam of the left.
About a quarter of the way through qualifying for the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at Pocono. Thanks for joining us on the CW. Dylan Welch and Jamie McMurray with you in the broadcast booth. Carla Metz downstairs.
Right, maximize that up to speed throughout, knowing how important that is. We talked about because of where that alternate start-finish line is.
You talked about his shield earlier. I think it maybe is just the tint of what his helmet is painted. It looked like maybe he has a clear shield on. It's
wow.
Just, I was trying to look at it when he had the visor flipped up. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's interesting.
It is.
It's also weird he has a clear visor on a perfectly sunny day. You would think you'd want a tinted visor, but everybody likes something just a little bit different. His car was fast in practice, though, and when we rode with him on board, it looked tight. It does not look tight now in qualifying trim as he's trying to get everything he can, but he's got a good, look at that bottom right. Look at the tractor. Right on par with Chase Elliott down this long straightaway. Maybe losing just a little bit of time because of that exit. He's going to make a little bit of a brake adjustment. You saw him reach down heading into turn 1, maybe a different brake bias for each corner at this track. He wasn't able to commit to the gas in turn 1. Didn't lose a lot, 10th and a half or so, 10th through turn 1. We saw, I don't think Chase got through the tunnel as good as he wanted because Allgaier was able to make up some ground there. We'll see if Jones can make up the same amount here. Sound like he couldn't get back to it right at the very end. About on par with what Chase was able to do there.
Jones will be second. Nice lap. 54.37. P2 for the 20. Josh Williams on the right of the screen concludes his run. Go back down to Carla.
Dylan, I'm here with Austin Hill. You know what it takes to get a win here. What's it going to take to get the pole today?
Man, I don't know. Our Glow Industrial Chevrolet was really sketchy in practice. Fired off just really loose and would slide the rears a lot. And then we made some adjustments and we were plowing tight at the end. So we got, both ends of the spectrum going on. Just trying to figure out what we need in our Glow Industrial Chevrolet to be as fast as Xfinity Mobile. But yeah, I'm kind of torn right now. Like I'm the type of driver I like it free, but to fire off, that was a little too free for me. So, yeah, I mean, we're just, for qualifying, we're just going to have to put our heads together. Hopefully we come up with some good delta. And here at Pocono, you just got to send it and hope it sticks. So that's what we're going to do.
I think the worst saying you can give to a crew chief is loose end, tight in the middle. The second worst is sketchy, because that's hard to fix, and he referenced that. He's like, I just need more grip overall to get the balance to where they need it. That's so hard to get that fixed without being able to go to the garage and maybe try a different setup.
Well, and do you sacrifice, whoa, boy, Matt DiBenedetto, he was using all the racetrack there. Maybe sacrifice, if you can get away with free at turn 1, does that help you in in turn 3? Is that kind of the
you got to pick your
philosophy?
battle, right? Like where do I need to be better? That was a great lap though, right there by Matt Benedetto. Yeah, 5th overall, 54.72. Good lap by him.
Slots in right behind Justin Allgaier, 54.72.
Thank you.
Allgaier's 54.58.
There's something wrong with
Patrick Emmerling's off the pace here.
He was.
Something must have felt wrong with that car. See what Sam Mayer can do. He talked about that car wasn't, where it needed to be, but he's going to get all out of it that he can. You see right there his last 3 weekends. Great road racer. Didn't have the results he wanted at Mexico City. But he runs well just about everywhere. And I mentioned, earlier, ran 2nd here a couple years ago. You can see him inside the car, just barely sawing on the wheel. Man, he was close to the wall on the exit of turn 3. Had a decent lap right there, about a 10th off. But not paying a huge penalty. It's almost like he gave up that time on entry and then kind of maintained down the front stretch.
Yeah, Tracker looks better than Jones here, although he lost some time there on entry to turn number 1.
It seems like he's given up a little on entry of each of these corners, which isn't a, if you don't know what you have and you didn't feel great about your car in practice, that's a good mindset to have going into it. We see the tunnel turn.
Yeah, he's going to be right there on Jones.
Ooh, got a little bit loose right there. Going to pay the penalty, lost a 10th and a half.
He was still fighting that all the way through turn 2.
He did. Overall, though, not a bad lap. Going to end up 4th. You see right there, 54.52. So good pickup from where they were. I think Quapple's going to be disappointed in his lap. But honestly, like looking at where Justin Allgaier qualified,
He ran a 53.83 here.
seems like the JRM cars had incredible race pace, but it doesn't seem like they're able to put it together for qualifying, which is going to be fun for us to watch, right, when the race starts. Those guys don't qualify well.
Quapple down in 9th, 55.23.
Yeah.
And as we said, Mayer slots in line in the 4th spot. Here's Daniel Dye for Colleague Racing.
Get back to the gas. That could have been some of your freeness.
Good week for him last week at Mexico City. You see there.
Maybe. We'll see.
He's 22nd overall
We got a good race.
in practice at a 55.77. So, if he can do that same pickup, 54.70, decent position for him.
Slower or more.
Jesse Love on the right of the screen. Richard Childress Racing number 2 car.
The 3/4 lane up in
Mark the winner here in 23.
Yeah, and Dylan, when you look at the lap tracker, it's so much fun for me to watch that. And it's so interesting because you can lose 3/10 literally just in one turn to come to the green, right? It's just, this track is so big and so fast that the penalty's huge, but if your car's good, the benefit is huge as well.
Oh, Daniel Dye.
I cannot get to the gas here. That car bottoming out, bouncing all the way up to the wall.
A solid lane up in 3.
Still not a bad lap for Dye. Maybe could have been inside the top 5 there, but he'll settle for 7th.
Love's got a decent lap going. He ran a 55.52 in practice. He's going to...
Oh, boy, he's out of shape,
he got
too.
trying to get so much right there, but it doesn't look at the tracker. It doesn't look like he paid a huge penalty. Not a bad lap. 6th overall, 54.63.
So those 2 cars slot right in and book in Matt DiBenedetto there. 6th for Love, 8th for Dye, and Matty D goes back to 7th. Dean Thompson for Sam Hunt Racing next to give it a go.
Yeah, had a decent run last week. Mexico City, you see 12th overall, so great run for he and Sam Hunt.
Got the Uglies potato chips, I believe, is the sponsorship on that car this weekend.
I don't know that any potato chip is not ugly. They're just going for the flavor in that, right?
Justin Bonsignor back in the Joe Gibbs Racing number 19. First start for him since Rockingham, as we said. See what Thompson's got here as we compare him to the pole sitter Chase Elliott right now.
Yeah, and I know we kind of referenced, was the track going to get better or worse? Honestly, it doesn't look like it's getting a lot better. I know we're going to have some good cars at the end of this. Zilic will be interesting to see kind of how he plays out, but I almost wonder if getting to go early here for Chase Elliott might not have been a little bit of a benefit.
Yeah, Chase was the 3rd car out, and that time has stood and not really been threatened here. Thompson goes to 14th.
Yeah, lost by half.
Bonsignor.
Oh,
good save.
Man, what a save right there. That got his attention. That's so weird, those bumps in the tunnel turn. Like I say, one lap you're tight, the next lap you look like the 19, you're sideways.
Still 8th for Bonsignor, though, so not as bad as it could have been.
Laterally, free. If you want to, I would say, if you feel it any in the tunnel, right? I mean, you're not breaking something right there. If you feel it at all, I'd pull it up a little bit. 2, 3. Same for 1. Yeah, 10-4. Now, what's going on? Yeah, 10-4. You break. Went to the green 2 and being behind before they ever get to 3, so just make sure you have a good tunnel coming to the green. Good exit. Yeah, 10-4. And no blind line leading pit road, so you can go straight up to the wall if you want on the entry. Copy.
Back to Pocono for the final handful of cars to qualify here for the Xfinity Series. Good welcome back for Justin Bonsignor this morning to the Xfinity Series. This is in turn 2, coming to the end of his qualifying lap. Steps out on him.
It got loose
and just kept going.
Then got loose and then got looser. Yeah, good save there by him. I'd love to see when his hands, how he describes that to the crew chief of exactly how loose it was.
Just full lock the other way.
Or nah, it wasn't that big a deal.
Here's Ryan Sieg. So he was on track earlier and was out with Leland Honeyman when the 70 car had a spin. So they waved off that run, took the 39 back to the pits, let it cool down a little bit, and Sieg will get another shot at it.
Yeah, and he was good in practice. I mean, 8th overall, had really good speed. I think he was 3rd in that first group of cars that went out. So they unloaded, had really good speed. We'll see. I'm just curious, like, did he use up any goodie of the tires by that little bit that he had to run earlier in the lap?
Yeah, he was on his lap, so he was kind of going full send there, to your point.
And then did they have to remove any tape, right, because of the engine having a little bit of heat in it? I mean, this place is huge, so you know you want all the tape you can have on it. But wow, look at that! Both of these guys. Sees the wallet. She was super fast in practice, having a good 3 and 4. And Sieg still, he tried to get too much in turn 1.
Yeah, he was in the green there on entry to turn 1.
Full commitment right there on entry.
Sawalich on a good lap too, just a little over a 10th up, or a 10th down, I should say.
Yeah, William was 4th in practice. You see right here. Both of those guys had really good turn 3s, but turn 1 for them. Maybe it felt so good in turn 3 that you're like, I'm going to go ahead and get it all down here in turn 1, and then you pay the price for it. But great lap, Dylan. Right there, you see Sieg 4th overall, 54.48. So I think for what he had to go through, that was a good outcome for them for what could have been.
Sawalich is going to be right there with him as well. He goes to the 4th spot. So 2 good laps for 2 good racers there. Sawalich to 4th, Sieg to 5th. Here's Harrison Burton in the AM Racing 25.
We were with him.
And I didn't realize when we went on board with Harrison earlier how quick he was in practice. That was really good. They were 5th overall. At the end of practice, we'll see
I think tried to make it
That car looks loose right there, trying to get to the green.
Oh, yeah.
See, he was fighting it on entry, and then he still fights a long corner to have to fight a loose car. Look at the tracker on the bottom right, and he knows that inside the car based on what he felt in practice and hearing the RPMs of the engine. I mean, a half a second that he's off before he gets to turn 1. And it won't get better in this end. Turn 1 is typically a lot freer than turn 3, so you know coming to the green, if you're loose, it's not going to get better when you get to turn 1. Oh, that's frustrating for them based on what they had in practice.
Sheldon Creed also out on the racetrack, last year's pole sitter for Joe Gibbs Racing last year. And in the car that won this race a year ago with Cole Custer. Harrison's still struggling here.
Yeah, look at him shaking his head. He's like, gosh, I want this to be over with. Knows how frustrating that is based on what they had in practice.
10th for the 25. And Creed is not going to threaten for the pole either with this lap.
No, he looks pretty loose right there in the tunnel turn. It doesn't look like it was yawed out as much as what Justin's was, but still a little bit off. He's going to, right there in front of Harrison. You see in 10th at 54.76.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to frustrate you.
About 5 or 6 cars left. This group led off by Jeb Burton. Talked about his great run last week. 8th at Mexico, has an 8th place finish here as well back in 2021.
Yeah, and we talked about, Jeb maximizing points for the day. This is one of those tracks that it happens. It just seems like the caution always comes out right at the end of a stage, and guys have to pit that are going for the win, and you can stay out and get stage points. So, if they don't have the car that they need to run in that top 5 and get the stage points, they do a really good job of just maximizing their day.
Talked to him yesterday, and he said the same thing. Our goal the next 11 weeks, top 15s and stage points. That's all we need. Just good, clean, solid days, and if they can do that, they like their chances to make the playoffs.
Yeah, Sammy Smith had a decent run to the green. You see right there about 3/10 off heading into turn 1. I just got to think that, that car's sliding up the hill right there. He didn't lose, for as bad as that looked, he didn't lose a tremendous amount of lap time. Actually, maybe about a 10th through turns 1 and 2. Tunnel turn looks like it's been loose for everybody. It's got to be some of that because you're at the end of your lap. Tires are screaming hot. Going through those bumps. Pretty stable right there.
And you see 5/10 off. That's still going to put him around the 10th spot.
Yeah,
that's how much. That's how much the gap is between the time Chase Elliott has and the rest of the top 10. So Smith will slot into the 11th spot. Jeb Burton was 16th on his lap. Christian Eckes, a much-needed good day for them last week at Mexico City. I talked to Alex Johns, his crew chief, yesterday. He just laughed. He said, at the start of the year, we looked at these road course races as let's just get through these with minimal consequence, and it's been their best races of the year. So great weekend for them last week in Mexico.
Yeah, Christian has a lot of speed every single weekend. He talked about it. He's the performance doesn't match the results, but ultimately we race for results, and they're going to have to do a better job of getting those results. You see a little bit off here into turn 1, but look at the other car out there. Taylor Gray had a really good turns 3 and 4. We talked about how much momentum they have. Losing just a little bit of time down into turn 1, but we'll see. Can they put together the rest of the lap? He's going to have a really good, a little bit of a higher line right there. Oh, getting right up on the edge of that. Yeah, that didn't look like anything was bad there. Just didn't have the speed. Lost a 10th in turn 3. Lost about a 10th in turn 1. Still going to be a great lap. Not a lap that's going to contend with Chase, but still a decent lap.
Yeah, I wonder if that he got through turn 2 pretty well there. Yeah,
apron there.
Used all the racetrack. I wonder if that entry to turn 1, that higher line, was by design, or if that was not exactly what he wanted to do. Lost a good amount of time there. The back 2/3 of the lap. 7th for Gray.
Well, this right here to me would be the one that we've been waiting for to see. Is the track going to pick up? Can he put the lap together? The best JRM car right now is Allgaier in 8th. So, you see already 2/10 off for Zilich. So yeah, it just seems like the JRM cars had tremendous speed in practice, in race trim, but it's like they've missed it somewhere here on their change to qualifying trim.
Austin Hill, the final qualifier. So these are the last 2 scheduled. And indeed, nobody in line down there at pit exit. So if you're going to put a lap together, this is the time to do it. Austin Hill
It still looks sketchy.
Yeah.
It still looks sketchy in turn 3 for Austin Hilly. That's how you kind of describe this car. You know, needing to turn better, but also needing the back to be a little bit better. But I think Chase Elliott's going to be safe. Maybe going out early was a little bit of advantage. We know he had a great car, but he also, like you mentioned, got to go out third, which was huge for him.
Zilic will go across the line and settle into the 9th spot. Austin Hill should be inside the top 10 here, awfully close maybe. See what he does here through turn 2. He lost a lot of time there off the exit of turn 1. He's not going to be in the top 10 now. Yeah, down in 14th. So some time lost there for the 21. But everybody chasing that car to the green flag today. Chase Elliott, 3rd career pole for him in the Hendrick Motorsports number 17. 2nd start, 1st pole of the year. He'll lead the
to start us in second again. How close do you feel like you were to maybe knocking off Chase Elliott?
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to take to get that last little spot here. Been close so many times. It's interesting this weekend. I mean, first off, I'm really proud of our guys for digging in deep over these last couple weeks that we've had and showing up with speed as fast as Xfinity Internet is. I mean, we've been off a little bit on our short run speed ever since our Darlington win, and just been struggling to unload with good speed, and we're always a fast car at the end of the race. So I'm glad we closed the gap up this weekend on them again and showed up with something that's going to be capable of winning this race. I feel like this is going to be an interesting one. I ran that truck race last night. I feel like that was a benefit for me, just understanding where the restart lanes are going to be and where you want to make your passes at. So I feel like I've already got one up on the field. But everyone at Cheez-Its, I can't thank them enough. Menards, looking forward to trying to get another win here.
How much do you think the heat is going to play a factor? Obviously, ran the trucks last night, not in the heat. So what do you feel there?
Yeah, I think that actually played into having a good lap. I don't think anybody in the field felt like their lap was very good, but me and Chase going out as early as we did, I think that actually played into having some speed just for the one-lap pace. So I thrive in the heat. I think our race cars actually drive a little bit better in the heat at Joe Gibbs Racing. So I always hope and pray for a little bit of sunshine. I just think it plays into my driving style and our race cars a little bit better.
We were debating during qualifying about your visor and the interesting shade that it is. Can you give us an explanation for that?
I wish you would have pointed that out. That's a little secret, but I did some homework on what lens colors kind of work best for me. There's a lot of different stuff out there, but just some contrast stuff, just to see some things a little bit better on the racetrack. A lot of guys run different stuff. A lot of guys have blue lenses. I used to have a lens that would transition from day to night, but I just kind of have stuck with this one here recently, and I've enjoyed it.
That works even better in the sun?
Yeah, it's like wearing like prism lenses, basically. Just to be able to see contrast, honestly, a little bit better. Not saying it's a game changer, but it's just a little bit here and there. I've kind of here recently been just a hard student of the sport, right, and all aspects of what I can do better and what can help me to be a little bit better, and finding little things like visor lenses can always be just that little bit you needed.
Thanks.
Little trade secret there.
I like it. Details, right? We always hear it's all the small things that add to something big, and it's great that he's doing everything he can, like on his side of that, to get better.
He'll start second. Chase Elliott, of course, on the pole, has gone to get ready for Cup Series practice, so we'll attempt to track him down and get his thoughts. But how do you beat him today? That's going to be the biggest challenge, obviously, with a good lap there in qualifying.
Oh, yeah, and it's going to be hard because this is such a great track for him. He's in a fast car. He's obviously got great starting position. But I would tell you, I mean, I think that Zilich and Allgaier looked like they had cars that can compete with him, and it's going to be about minimizing mistakes. We hear it every year here. This track historically has some flat tires. Randomly, we saw it yesterday with Corey Heim leading the truck race. So maybe you just have to get a little bit lucky to beat him.
You need that sometimes. Let's go to Carla, who is with Justin Allgaier.
Yeah, here with Justin Allgaier. You finished second here at a place like Pocono with where you're starting in the field today. What's it going to take to get a win?
Well, to be honest with you, I was pretty sad after qualifying because I thought our Carolina Carport Chevrolet was a lot better than that in practice. And I just felt like, as a driver, this place is so difficult because you have a long time to think about it and you overthink everything. And so not the greatest qualifying lap for myself, but really proud of this team, everybody at Junior Motorsports. Everybody's Chevrolet, the Hendrick Engine Shop. Obviously, getting a Chevrolet on the pole was a big deal. I just feel like this race, as big as this racetrack is, this race is also long, and you have to manage the day and the strategy. And I got Jim Pullman and this whole 17 behind me that whether we're as fast as Xfinity Mobile or not, I know that we're going to have the right strategy for today's race. And just, again, really proud of the effort. We'll come out of here and hopefully be one spot better than we were last year.
Allgaier will roll from the 8th spot. See what he can do as he chases his first Pocono win. Back to wrap things. How different is this place when you race it, though, Jamie? Like, what's maybe the hardest corner when you're racing around other cars to navigate?
I always found the hardest corner was different every year because it was based kind of on the balance of your car, and you really determined that in practice. But when you look at the banking difference in all 3 of the corners, that's ultimately what makes the biggest difference. Turn 1 has the most banking with 14 degrees, and then turn 3, by the time you get over there, it only has 6 degrees. And we always talk about like turn 1, the tunnel turn, and turn 3. It's really 6, right? Because when we go to an oval, we talk about the entry, the middle, and the exit, and you have an entry, middle, and exit 3 times here. And the penalty, if you're not good because of how long these straightaways are, it makes this place really challenging. And I think there's just very few people, and I'm not in this category, that figure this place out. Ryan Blaney, who's going to be on our broadcast later today, he's won here twice before. I bet he loves coming here, and he knows that feeling he needs. But it's really just all about compromise and trying to get decent in all the corners.
That time of year where we start to look at the playoff standings and reflect on them at the end of every week, and that all-important 12th position is the bubble for ultimately who gets to race for a NASCAR Xfinity Series championship. And couldn't have it any closer if we tried. Tied right now for that spot between Taylor Gray, courtesy of a great week last week in Mexico City, and kind of the opposite for Ryan Sieg. Tough week for them, and he is now on the negative side of that cut line. Let's hear from our pole sitter. He's with Carla.
Yeah, here with Chase Elliott. Obviously not a lot of time in the car, but to sit on the pole and not have a lot of lap times, you did pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. It was, honestly, I didn't think it was going to be good enough to hold up when I ran the lap. I had a really good 3 and just kind of an okay 1 and tunnel. So I definitely think going out early was probably a good thing. It's been getting warmer as we've gone along, but great to get a pole. I haven't had a pole and I don't even know how long, so nice to do that in any circumstance. And appreciate everybody on the HendrickCars.com team for letting me drive, number 1, and having this car so good. They've done a really good job getting the program to where it is today, and yeah, nice to have a good starting spot and try to make the most of it.
You mentioned the heat. How much do you think that's going to play a factor in the race today?
I don't think it'll be a huge thing in the race just because everybody is kind of out there at the same time. I mean, certainly the track will have less grip, but it has a bigger impact in qualifying just because of the time of day changes so much from the first guy to the last. So yeah, it'll be less grippy, no doubt, and there'll be some rubber that lays down, but I don't think it's going to be a huge impact. I think it'll be pretty straightforward and normal, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, guys.
We can tell you how many days it's been since Chase has won a pole, over 3,900, courtesy of our friends here at NASCAR Insights.
He was right. It's been a long time.
Now, granted, he hasn't raced in the Xfinity Series that entire length of time, but yes, it has been quite a while for Chase since he's been on the pole for the Xfinity Series, and he will lead the field to green in the Hendrick Motorsports 17 car, which has certainly, every time it's been on the racetrack, been a car that you have to contend with if you want to find type. A couple more. That car has been so good. Alex Bowman finished second at Phoenix way back in March. So they've had a couple more opportunities to get a couple wins, and Chase certainly with a great chance to do that later on this afternoon. Here at Pocono, finished second at Darlington in his only start in that car this year. So certainly knows what it takes to get it done.
Yeah, it's been it's so much fun for those guys to get in this car, the Hendrick Motorsports drivers. And I mentioned that because of it's such an easy effort because that car is out of the same shop. And Chase referenced this earlier. They want to drive it because they know how fast it is. Right. And as a race car driver, you're here this weekend, you want to race, and it's not as normal, for Cup guys to run the Xfinity Series is what it was in the past. But certainly fun when you get in a car and win. And Chase Elliott is off to a great start.
He is indeed. He'll have to contend with the Junior Motorsports contingent as well as the Joe Gibbs Racing contingent at the front of the field. Join us at 3 p.m. Eastern today for Xfinity Series racing.